How good is your sales win rate? Because in my work with thousands of organisations and salespeople, the things that I've identified is that if you've got a win rate of 1 in 3, then that's what we refer to as C grade. And if the win rate is up around 1 in 2, 50%, that's getting up there, and that's what we call B grade or average. But the high performers are right up at 75%, 3 out of 4. And so why is it that they are so much more successful? Or what is it that increases the potential for win rates? So what is the difference that makes the difference? The number one reason that I've observed from my experience is that the high performing sellers have what I call 21st century selling skills. And what that means is that underperforming sellers have not upgraded their selling skills, and I've seen selling skills that are still in the 80s. And the reason is that the selling and buying environment today is so much more complex, and it needs and requires selling skills that are modern and highly oriented towards the buyer and the internet buyer of today. So a second reason is when the seller co-creates value with the buyer, so that the buyer actually understands the value and how it is that the seller will actually solve their problems and create a much stronger brightness of the future. The third reason is the problem of premature elaboration. When salespeople talk too early about their solution, then the buyer doesn't see the value. And what will often happen is that it becomes a features conversation, and the buyer puts pressure on the seller to drop their price. Let me tell you about one example of Richard, who currently now is a very successful account manager with an Australian manufacturing company. This wasn't always the way with Richard, because a few years ago he was constantly struggling. And when I went out on the road with Richard for the first time, this number of meetings, he just sat there and let the customer take over the meeting, and the value that he was providing was really just his product knowledge and his industry knowledge. And Richard's win rates was 1 in 5 at that time. But then after doing the consultative selling skills training with us, his ability to actually control the conversation with the client or the prospect and actually create value and actually to protect margins meant that Richard's win rate went up to between 3 in 5 and 4 in 5, and his success rate was substantial. So if you're only doing 1 in 5 or 2 in 5 as your current win rate, and you want it to be like Richard and up around 3 out of 5 and 4 out of 5, then we need to talk. And I can help you increase your win rate, make more money, and have more fun.